Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about why I think the Washington Commanders should not pick running back Bijan Robinson at 16. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, and just listen to me before you go in the comments and hate. And I know people will disagree with this. I think the majority of Commanders fans think we should not draft Bijan Robinson at 16, but there are definitely some that want us to take him at 16. Some even want us to trade up for him. And I'll talk about why I think we should not do that. First off, I'll just talk about the usual, the value at the of the running back position has decreased a lot over the last decade, I would say, and definitely the last 2 or 3 decades. It's not nearly as valuable of a position today than it was in the 1990s or before, even the early 2000s. Right now, you can get a really solid running back for like $1.5 million. You look at Damian Harris, running back from the Patriots. I believe he's on the Bills right now. If I'm correct, I think they signed him for like 1.5 million. He's a very solid running back. Like, he's an average to above average running back in this league, and they got him for around $1 to $1.5 million. To get an average tackle in this league, I mean, Charles Leno, when his first year here, he was about average, and they signed him to an extension, I believe, about 13 mil a year. So that's kind of the price you have to pay. Andrew Wiley, they paid about 8 million a year for him, but like last year, at least, I mean, the first half of the year, he was, definitely a below average tackle. The second half of the year, he was average to above average. So it kind of evens out to slightly below average. And at guard, he's a good guard. But you look at tackle, and the difference between tackle and running back, it's just a huge difference in terms of the price you're going to have to pay. Same thing for a good starting cornerback versus a good running back. For a good starting cornerback, you're going to have to pay a decent amount versus a good starting running back in this league. You can either sign them for very cheap or draft a guy. Like, I'm not saying we can't draft a running back this year. I still would prefer us not to draft one in the first few rounds. But you look at like last year, the top running backs taken were Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, both in the second round. Both look like they're trending towards being elite running backs. Then you look at the later rounds in that year too. Brian Robinson, who knows, maybe will be an elite running back, but at the very least is going to be an above average running back in this league. He was drafted with one of the last few picks in the third round. Then you look at Dameon Pierce. He was drafted, I believe, in the fifth round. You look at, what's his name? I'm trying to think. Isaiah Pacheco. He was drafted, fifth, sixth, seventh round? All those running backs are good to elite running backs in this league and drafted later on. You look at some of the running backs drafted in the first round the last few years. I mean, Najee Harris, he was pretty good his rookie year, but not very efficient. This past year was not good at all. And you use his first round pick on him. I'm trying to think. Ezekiel Elliott was a good pick. He was really good for the first 4 years, but then they extended him, or the first few years, and they extended him. It didn't really work out. Leonard Fournette did not work out for the team that drafted him, and worked out a little bit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they did not draft him. Christian McCaffrey worked out, and I'm trying to think of who else. Josh Jacobs was a late first round pick. Early on, not sure if it worked out completely in terms of, okay, you invest a first round pick in a running back, he needs to be elite, but this past year he was great. But that just to show, like, even these elite running backs aren't guaranteed, and some of them struggle with injuries. Like, Saquon's been good, but he struggled with injuries. So, like, first round running backs, I'd rather take one later on at a position that's not very important. And you look at some of the elite teams, like, I think it was each Super Bowl winner has not had like an elite running back, if you look at it, or a running back drafted in the first round in a long time. Like, Leonard Fournette was, but the team that had him did not draft him. So that's just something to think about. A lot of the elite teams in this league do not have elite running backs. The only one I would say is Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers, but they made the NFC Championship the year before, I believe, without him. Let's talk a little bit about Bijan Robinson, though. He is truly an elite prospect, an elite running back. 700 yards freshman year, then 1,127, and then close to 1,600. His efficiency is off the charts, 6.1 yards per carry, 18 touchdowns, and receiving wise, it is not elite as a receiving back, but can get the job done. Over 300 receiving yards, 16.5 yards a reception, which is insane, and 2 touchdowns. His vision is off the charts. His speed is good. His strength is good. Let's see his combine page real quick. 5'11", 215 pounds. His 40-yard dash, 4.46 40-yard dash, which is pretty good. Vertical jump, 37, which is solid. You see his athleticism score second, and combine rank, I guess, is number 1 in terms of running backs. So yeah, NFL comparison, Josh Jacobs. This guy's going to be good. We don't need to go through his strengths and weaknesses because we know how good he is going to be. He has a very, very high floor and a high ceiling as well. Like, he can be one of the best running backs in this league. He's a very safe pick. But like I've been talking about, drafting Bijan Robinson for the Commanders would be a luxury. Yes, he would help us out. He definitely would help us out, but maybe help us get to the playoffs, which would be great at the end of the day. But so would other running backs, and we have solid running backs. Do we have amazing running backs? No. Maybe Brian Robinson could turn out to be a top 15, top 10 running back in this league. And Gibson is a solid pass catching back that I hope he develops into even more of a pass catching back with Eric Bieniemy. We have solid running backs, not amazing, but average to above average, I would say. And we have other positions like guard. I would still say tackle. Like, ideally, I would move Andrew Wiley inside and draft a tackle. Tight end is still a need. Cornerback is still a need. Linebackers still need. And some of those positions are not premium positions, similar to running back. Like guard and even tight end, you could say, and linebacker. Those aren't necessarily premium positions, and I probably still wouldn't draft those guys in the first round. But the difference is that we have big needs at those positions versus running back. We don't have big needs at those positions. So would I absolutely hate the pick at 16? I wouldn't hate it. And here's why I wouldn't hate it, and I'll give some reasons why, maybe the Washington Commanders should. Not saying I believe this, but if you're drafting him at 16, like, yes, the value isn't great, and you had bigger needs, but you're drafting an elite player, a player with one of the highest floors, if not the highest floor in this class, and still a high ceiling, a player that's going to help you immediately. It's not a guy that, obviously he's probably going to get better as, he gets older, until a certain point, but he's going to be good right when he comes in the league. Will probably be offensive rookie of the year. So he'll help you out right away, and, will make your offense even more explosive, will help out Sam Howell. So I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I just don't think it makes sense at 16. Even if you trade back, I wouldn't do it, but it would make it a little bit better if you traded back into like 22 and somehow still got him. I don't think he'll be there. Don't even know if he'll be there at 16 for the Commanders. His range is probably like earliest is 10 to the Eagles, and latest is I have no idea where, the lowest he could go. But let another team trade up for him. The Eagles makes a lot of sense just because they're a team on the cusp. They're a player away from really maybe winning the Super Bowl or getting back to the Super Bowl. Us, if we get Bijan Robinson, we're not going to make the Super Bowl. And hey, I've seen arguments as well. Like, if we draft Darnell Wright, he's not going to get us to the Super Bowl. And I do understand that. But in terms of team building, I just think that right now, tackle, cornerback, and some of these other positions are, bigger needs than running back. And, running backs you can find. Like, if you want to draft another running back, go ahead. Draft one in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Who knows? You might find yourself a Dameon Pierce or a guy that is like that. That's just why, like, a lot of the elite running backs in this league are found in later rounds. A lot of them. Like, in every position you can find late round steals. But the running back position, it's every year. Dameon Pierce already. Isaiah Pacheco already. Brian Robinson is a good running back in this league already. Like, it's just, that's why again, the value just isn't there for the running back position. So that's just me. But I know some people still want to take him, and I understand that. So we'll see what happens actually not that long until the draft, 2.5 weeks. I'm excited. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.